William Morrow and HarperAudio present St. Francis Society for Wayward Pets, a novel by Annie England Noblin, performed by Sarah Naughton. Prologue. Annabelle watched the little girl in the front yard, smiled at the clumsy way she bent down to tie the laces of her yellow Batman high tops. She was tall for her age, 10 years old that day, and her dark hair fell unkempt around her face. On the front porch, a woman stood holding a plastic tray full of hot dogs. She too smiled at the girl as she placed the tray on a brightly painted picnic table. "May, honey, go inside and brush your hair before your friends get here," the woman said. The girl turned her back to the street and to Annabelle, but she could hear the girl say, "These earrings are making my ears itchy." "For goodness sake," the woman replied. She brushed the girl's hair away from her face. "I told you that you have to clean them every day. How long have you been wearing these cheap things?" The girl's shoulders heaved up and down, in that way only a child can when they have an answer that won't be good enough for their mother. "They match my shoes," was all she said. "Whoever heard of a Batman-themed party for a girl?" the woman continued, clicking her tongue against her teeth and working the earrings out of May's ears, causing May to wince. "Couldn't you have picked Barbie or something less terrifying?" Again, May shrugged. "Go on inside," the woman said. "Hurry it up, or we'll all be having cake and ice cream without you." May ran past the woman and up the front steps of the house, lingering just long enough to stick her tongue out at the woman's back before disappearing inside. Unable to stop herself, Annabelle let out a laugh, and the woman in the front yard paused to scan the car-lined street. Annabelle slid farther down into the driver's seat of her Volkswagen Beetle as the woman surveyed the neighborhood. She hadn't meant to loiter there, not really. She hadn't meant to drive down the cozy tree-lined Seattle street or park just far enough away to escape being noticed. No, all she'd meant to do was visit the yarn warehouse on the south side of town and pick up her order. All she'd meant to do was follow the rules of the document she'd signed. No contact, and certainly not any borderline stalking on birthdays, and return home. It was as if her hands had a mind of their own, straying from the 10-2 position to make more left turns than she should have made, to park on a street she should have forgotten. If anyone asked her how she got there, she'd have to tell them she honestly didn't know. Of course, she'd been to this lovely house on the quiet cul-de-sac before. If Annabelle closed her eyes, she could remember every single detail of the way the house had looked over a decade ago. A sprawling executive ranch, without the freshly painted front porch or new vinyl siding. She remembered thinking, when she'd been welcomed inside, that it looked like the kind of place a kid could play hide-and-seek in for hours and not run out of hiding spots. The owners, June and Michael Stephens, welcomed her with open arms and her favorite meal, chili dogs. At the time, it had been the only thing she'd wanted to eat for several months. That night, she'd eaten 4. After dinner, June showed Annabelle the rest of the house, showed her the clean bathrooms and the sunny laundry room and the finished basement that had one of those large-screen projection television sets. This was the kind of house Annabelle saw on television sitcoms. It was the kind of house that hosted family gatherings at Thanksgiving and Christmas. It was the kind of house, Annabelle thought, where a person could feel safe. It was a far cry from the house she'd grown up in, with its dingy carpet and flaking wood paneling. In fact, it was a far cry from everything she'd ever known. Most important, it was a far cry.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?